Who's the third man? Is it Mabel? That's a niche joke for people that are nerds like me, but after last night's episode of Raw, I think we got to talk about it. Because there was a rumor not so long ago, and again, that's why we always have to take these things with a pinch of salt, that the Bron Breakker, Seth Rollins, Paul Heyman reunion was going to be a trifecta. It makes sense, everybody likes trilogies, but it always felt like, if you held it off to the right point and we were patient with it, as and when the time came, you probably could throw a fourth person in there, especially because the power of four when it comes to groups is very strong, mostly because of the Four Horsemen and other groups that came along. Although you could argue there was the NWO, but then the NWO expanded to around about 72,463 people, and they kind of ruined it. But given what did happen on Raw, e.g. we have 3 baby faces ready to go, I think it's time to start speculating about it. I mean, we were already doing that anyway. There were certain names thrown out before. Like I remember someone said, why can't Becky Lynch be in the group? Wouldn't have had a problem with that. Wouldn't have minded if Naomi randomly had turned up, although that would have been very, very strange, given who they are feuding with. But I don't think you can do that now because, again, it was Jey Uso, it was CM Punk, it was Sami Zayn in the opening segment of Monday Night Raw. Really liked it. Nice and simple. CM Punk comes out. He's mad at himself because he shouldn't have trusted Paul Heyman. Paul Heyman comes out, kind of does nothing. So Seth Rollins says, CM Punk, I hate you so much. Love the fact that Bron Breakker is being used as a killer. He whipped everybody's butt. And eventually, you have the 2-on-2, but Seth Rollins and Bron Breakker are winning thanks to Child of the Chair. Out comes Jey Uso. He does get whooped for a little while, but eventually the babyfaces clear the ring. Now, some people are like, that doesn't make any sense. Why were the heels able to overpower them so easily? I think at this early juncture, the bad guy group that are brand new coming out of WrestleMania need to be pretty intimidating and pretty scary. Otherwise, what is the point? Now, we know at Saturday night's main event, which is happening, I don't know, in 2 weeks or something like that, it is indeed going to be Sami Zayn and Seth Rollins taking on Bron and Seth, so Roman Reigns has clearly gone away for a while. But Jey Uso got taken out, not to dinner, by Bron Breakker later on, right? And Sami Zayn ran in going, oh no. Now, I think this is going to tie in too, because ever since the Raw after WrestleMania, which at first I thought everybody had picked up on wrongly, I was incorrect, it does feel like we are doing some sort of tease with Sami Zayn and Jey Uso. I'm not going to say that Sami Zayn is going to go heel, but quite clearly Sami's big thing is he wants to win the world title this year, and his best buddy may be the one in possession of that belt. I now think Sami Zayn should probably win Money in the Bank. Do not forget, we also know coming out of Money in the Bank on that episode of Raw, it is going to be Gunther versus Jey Uso. I assume so. I don't think Logan Paul will win for that world championship, but I don't think these lot aren't going to continually cross paths. Now, yes, the caveat to this is you may want Jey Uso involved with the Seth Rollins group because coming out of Logan Paul, whatever we're going to do with Gunther, that we are probably at SummerSlam, which will be pretty close after that, going to do Seth Rollins versus Jey Uso. So I may be barking up the wrong tree, I may be getting confused here, but I still think it's worth having a chat about, mostly because there was somebody on Raw who was showing off their merchandise, which is a very strange thing to do, to the New Day, and it's Karrion Cross. Now, I have no idea what's going on with Karrion Cross. There were some news reports that said his merchandise is selling like crazy, always a good sign. The amount of content he does on social media away from the camera is so good, and I would love it if Raw sort of doped down into that deeper, but I don't see why he couldn't be part of that group. The AJ Styles thing has been dropped. Now, maybe I missed the ending to this, but after WrestleMania, I thought they had to do something, and we could come back to it. Like, WWE is not adverse to setting things up and then being more patient than they were in the past, which I do appreciate, but also Karrion Cross isn't getting any time at the moment, and he's had problems with Sami Zayn before, like he'd styled his hair like him, whatever the flub he did. He could easily have a problem with a CM Punk and a Jey Uso. I'm not saying he has to go after those people, but I just think it'd be the perfect fit. I mean, the only worry about Karrion Cross being in a group is he was the leader of his last group, which wasn't very good. It didn't work, let's just be honest here. So coming in as the third man may be a little bit weird, but you have to pitch it right, and you have to make sure he gets wins, and it has to be presented in the right way. The way I wouldn't present him, if you're interested, is giving him some weird gimp helmet mask thing and making him wear strange armor. Whatever the hell that was that Vince McMahon did to him. No wonder he got released. Nobody would have been able to survive that, and I feel genuinely sorry for him, and I'm glad he got hired back. But that is something, or somebody I would do something with, because it kind of ties back into the evolution model this does sort of seem based on. You have a bunch of dudes you know are going to get over, or already over. We just need to give them that little push. So Karrion Cross would absolutely be on my list. And of course, yes, somebody else that you could throw in there, even though it doesn't make any sense, although it actually would tie back into the original NWO storyline, is Sami Zayn. I've seen this a lot because he is doing these looks and these winks and these nods and these strange things with his face, and because he desperately wants that world championship. Maybe he could go into cahoots with Seth Rollins' group, which eventually allows him to win the championship. But there you have, what's it called, a conflict of interest. Because Seth Rollins is quite clearly in charge, and he wants that belt. So if Sami Zayn did use him to get that belt, instantly had to fight Seth Rollins for that championship. And you could do that. It's a bit messy and the story's not as clear as I would like when it comes to pro wrestling. But I think this mostly comes down to the fact that some people do predict that Sami Zayn will go heel. That's another question we need to ask. Do we want that? I don't necessarily think we do. I think you're kind of barking upstream. I think Sami Zayn going heel, especially against someone like Jey Uso. I know Jey Uso is mega super over. And maybe it would work, I don't know, but I think you would be struggling a little bit more. So I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think Sami Zayn will be the third guy. And then really you go down into NXT, like who could you bring up with Trick Williams? I think Trick Williams is about to win the TNA title. I think we're going to let him cook for a while as a heel, which does make sense. You always hear this in NXT, and I see where you're coming from. But it's like, oh, I can't believe they turned so-and-so a heel. They're just letting them play both sides to get their experience. They're using NXT in the way it should be used before they come up to the main roster. And look at somebody like Roxanne Perez. She embraced that so damn well. I remember when she first started cutting promos as a heel, it wasn't bad. It wasn't be like, I just think I prefer you as a babyface. Now, I think she's better the other way around. So I think we'll do that with Trick too. Somebody else said Obafemi. My gosh, would I love it if it was Obafemi. And Ethan Page, I think, is a great shout. I think you would need to focus him more on NXT or give him a big explosion on the main roster, which sounds a little bit weird. But there are plenty of options here. There's probably even some people we're not even thinking about that you could throw into the mix. But that position, let's say that Bron Breakker is Randy Orton, although he could be Batista. He's kind of both. Let's call him Batista, actually. If there is a young pup that you want to put in there and all of a sudden sort of push to the moon in a mid-card level, which I don't mean disparagingly, only because I think Bron Breakker is the dude they're going to put a rocket ship on. So many people would benefit from that. So I think you should probably do it. Like, my big call was Jeff Cobb. I'm completely wrong. Jeff Cobb, of course, has joined the Bloodline. That's what all new people do. You go enjoy the Bloodline. And I even saw somebody suggest Joe Hendry. If WWE brought in Joe Hendry and made him a heel, I'd probably stop watching. Like, it's not the time. Joe can be a heel, right? We've seen him if you watch his independent stuff. But he's so over right now. You don't take that away from the fans. That would be absolutely redonkulous. And you even have someone like a Javon Evans. I saw that one as well. But he can spend years in NXT. I'm not saying that he should do that, but he's so young, right? You don't need to rush everybody up, especially because some people, e.g. Karrion Cross, are struggling for TV time at the moment simply because, for whatever reason, they're not being inserted into the stories. But I do like the fact that it could be anybody at this point. Like, it really, really, really could. Just Karrion Cross is the dude that I'll keep coming back to because I think there's a bigger upside there. He's established on the main roster. People want him to do something. He would be being put in a main event angle, even though, again, he could be your IC guy. And eventually you could end up with a weird scenario where Seth is the world champion. I don't think Bron can go back after the IC title now because we've kind of nudged him up. So you make Karrion Cross the, heir apparent or whatever. And that's eventually why Bron Breakker go nuts. Well, you got a title and you got a title. What about me? And then Paul Heyman's like, don't worry, we're going to get you a championship. Because I believe that has to be the story eventually. Listen, WWE is super, like I say, patient. So it may not be to like WrestleMania 43, but Bron Breakker will turn on Seth Rollins and beat him for the championship. That has to be the plan. That has to be the goal. We've established that when Bron Breakker does go crazy, he gets cheered. I mean, even though he's meant to be a heel now, he's pretty much getting cheered. Even when he stood up after Seth Rollins whispered in his ear, he was so happy that he got to beat somebody up. But I like all of this. I like the crossing of the streams, of course, with Jey Uso and Sami Zayn, even though they're going to be in different matches at Saturday night's main event. And I think that Bron and Seth have to win. I don't think you can have the first match as a bad guy group and lose. I think that would be really, really silly. And I don't think WWE would do that. And I can find in no reality where Logan Paul beats Jey Uso, especially now, because it's way more fun with Jey Uso interacting with Gunther and interacting with everybody else. And if we go back to the rumor mill, Gunther can be distracted by Goldberg, who that just seems, I don't know what it's going to be at SummerSlam or it's going to be later. But as soon as that becomes a thing, Gunther can be mad. Like, I'm going to get rid of you. This is absolutely ridiculous. And then you can circle back round at some point. So, of course, let me know who you think the third man could be and who you'd like it to be. I think those are two different things because WWE could make, I don't know, Pat McAfee the third man. But should they do that? No. I think that'd be a terrible, terrible idea. When you're down there too, please do subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell. Also, I freelance for What Culture. I do the ups and downs, the reviews. So make sure you go check that video out too. And if you give them a subscribe, my videos will pop up from time to time. So, good start to Raw, middling of the road, mostly, I think because we're putting things in place for Saturday night's main event. All the matches were great. The fans were a little bit quiet, but you're totally allowed to do that if you spent your money on the ticket. But obviously you can heighten the fun of a match if the fans are going nuts. But Chad Gable versus Penta, could watch it all day, genuinely. I mean, I get bored after a while. But I think they are so good together. Like, they just click. Nice for Penta to get a proper win on a show that is full of distractions. We didn't get any of those. And I would imagine, it's because Chad Gable is also a grande Americano, so he keeps getting one up, but then Chad Gable keeps losing. Eventually we'll sort of, lay all this out. Although there is Judgment Day stuff going on. on because, of course, we went backstage, had the best segment, Goofy Wrestling for Life. I should have covered it more on ups and downs, to be honest with you. But you have Dominic Mysterio confused because Liv Morgan's saying good morning. He doesn't understand time difference. I love the way that WWE dropped it. We then had all the stuff between Finn Balor and Dominic Mysterio, who are obviously going to break up. They don't trust each other anymore. And then we cut back and JD McDonald and Kalisto have and they're explaining how the world works. That's my level, man. I don't even care. I think WWE switched it now too. Maybe this was always the plan. In my world, I've switched it in my brain, I should say. Because in the background, we saw Finn Balor talking to Roxanne Perez. And don't forget, a year ago, whenever it was Roxanne Perez. It wasn't Roxanne. It was Liv Morgan talking to Finn Balor, and he snuck her into the Judgment Day. So now I'm thinking Roxy's going to be the new member, and we're going to turn Dominic Mysterio babyface. I don't know what you do with Liv Morgan when she comes back. She could be a babyface because people like her, but I want the tag team with Raquel to remain heels. Point is, I think Dom is going to be the guy ejected now, and Finn will stay in it. And if WWE has changed their minds, it makes sense because Dominic Mysterio got over from nowhere. Other highlights, Becky Lynch promo. Saw somebody say they didn't like this, which surprised me. Again, all respect to your opinion. But I just thought it was the perfect balance of real-life Becky Lynch and character Becky Lynch. Was her real name Rebecca Knox, I think? I don't know if that's true or not. But Rebecca Quinn? I don't know. The point is this. It was so well done because she did make a good point. She did the "you fans" promo, but she's allowed to. I remember, right? It's when I was doing my tour in America because I'm such a cool dude. I was still doing the ups and downs from my hotel rooms. And I remember Becky Lynch winning that belt in that Battle Royal, that last-minute thing, because somebody got injured. I can't remember the logistics. And I loved it. I thought, oh, sweet, Becky Lynch is a star. Makes all the sense in the world as a nice sort of byproduct until we get to something else. And the reaction online, Becky Lynch is Hulk Hogan, man. She's holding people down. I was genuinely stunned. And even though I said I appreciated it, even I got some hate. Can you imagine how much she got? So she totally justified to say, I don't want to deal with you anymore. And she even says, what was it? I'm spiteful. I'm hateful. I hold people down. Women in the back got to be scared because the man is back to kick your ass. I just thought it was awesome. And it all sounded authentic. And did this wonderful thing. I think I don't want to give too much away here because I'm going to do a whole video about it. But this meta idea of what kayfabe has become. Because I've realised now that kayfabe hasn't actually died. It's just become confused. And this was the positive side of it. This is somebody taking it and sort of merging it into a big ball. And you'd be like, oh my gosh, I don't know what's going on. Whereas the weird side of it is, obviously when we did the Jey Uso stuff, he cut a promo. Gunther came out to say, I'm challenging you at Saturday night's main event, as per Adam Pearce. But last week, of course, after Raw went off air, Logan Paul assaulted Jey Uso. Let's just take wrestling as real for 1 second, right? The show went off air, Logan Paul snuck in, they showed that footage, and he punched your world champion. If this was the NFL or the NBA or the Premier League, you wouldn't put that on social media. Other people would. But of course, WWE does put it on social media, and you have Michael Cole going, it did 7.2 billion views. It's like, you shouldn't be proud of this. You should be trying to hide the footage. Now, you wouldn't actively do that because the whole clue is in the name. It's a promotion. But that's what kayfabe should be. Kayfabe should be you should shoot that, and you don't share it. You don't put it anywhere. You actually try to downplay it because you know the fans are going to do your job for you. Because again, within the world of WWE that we've created, when we exist in this bubble, of course that's a terrible thing to do. You can't assault our world champion. So that's something that I would love all companies to do, but they won't because they're promotional companies and they all have sponsors and they want to throw those numbers out there. So when The Rock came back on the Netflix show, didn't even mind him being all like, oh my gosh, things are so great, so happy I'm here. But I would love it if we had done that in the press conference. And when The Rock, Dwayne Johnson, is on WWE cameras, he is the final boss. He's never not the final boss. So if you have the Raw setting, you have the SmackDown setting on your pay-per-view, he's the final boss. Then everywhere else, he could be Dwayne Johnson, which is why when he did do a tweet or an Instagram, whatever it was, when he went, wrestling is fake, my friends, which I thought was hilarious, by the way. Different video for a different day. That's where kayfabe could be, a really cool line could be drawn, but WWE is never going to do that. Point is, I thought Becky Lynch straddled that line perfectly. So, man, all of this makes sense. Issue being, if she continues to do this, she's going to become a baby face, although she's done a great job with Lyra Valkyria. She's in the hospital. I think she's going to come back a bigger star. So that's a couple of thumbs. Main event was awesome. Rhea Ripley and Io Sky taking on Julia and Roxanne Perez. Now, I saw some people go, I cannot believe that Rhea Ripley and Julia, they're going to do the one-on-one match, and Julia's going to get her win back. That's WWE 101. I'm also stunned, and I mean this, stunned. And you can share this, you can get mad at me, you can write whatever you want in the comments, because I believe this from the bottom of my tootsie toes. That some people think that Rhea Ripley is too strong and overbooked. Have you heard her reactions? Have you seen the numbers she does online? To go back to that conversation, if anything, we should be leaning harder into this. She should be our John Cena. She should be our Stone Cold Steve Austin. She should rarely lose. Rhea Ripley has that special something where she could actually elevate herself even further. I saw that Buddy Matthews interview on Chris Van Vliet's Inside podcast, and he said that, and I think he's absolutely right. I think we're only touching the surface here. And you see wrestlers all the time, or even normal people all the time, discover Rhea Ripley and the journey she's been on when she went from, I don't know what you would call it, conventional WWE female wrestler. That's massively unfair. You know what I'm talking about. I'm stereotyping, which I shouldn't do. But that's what she was. And over the years, she obviously grew into her own skin. She became super duper comfortable. And because of that, she puts out this confidence that's absolutely going to inspire other people. But then she's so real in her real life, which is a terrible sentence. She will tell you about her anxieties and how she got worried before WrestleMania, how she cried after a good performance. That's the stuff people want, man. That's honesty and transparency. So when you are portraying that character in a match, she was awesome. They were all great, but I think because she'd been on that Australian promotional tour, she just wanted to wrestle, which I totally understand. You do not push her like a massive star. You just don't. And I actually think that's one of the reasons this was able to main event, because of what she has around her and all the silly words that people use in 2025, cinema and aura and masterpiece and live show charisma, which is always going to be my favorite one. It was only said once. I think Dave Meltzer said it. It just exploded. I would imagine there's a little bit of irony to it. But no, I mean, Julia should beat her now. She can cheat. It doesn't matter. She's a heel. But they were all great. It worked so well. Obviously, I liked how nuanced the Sami Zayn stuff is. Like, it's very subtle and I don't know. And then with Rhea, Sky's like, just staring at that belt. I want that championship. That's what I want from wrestling. Some things should be subtle. Some things should be smacking me in the head with a wet fish, because it does come back to variety. But really, really good. I don't know what the next step is, because Roxanne and Julia, I suppose this is why you could turn Liv and Raquel. That could be your tag team program. We do need tag teams. Oh my gosh. If we start doing Liv and Raquel versus Julia and Roxanne Perez for the women's tag team titles, I would do a backflip and then break my head probably, because I'm an idiot. However, I think that Rhea Ripley versus Io Sky can probably go up till SummerSlam 2, and Rhea's probably going to win the championship, although Io Sky is super duper over. Point is really, really fun. I guess the only negative on Raw is the men's tag team division. It's not their fault. The New Day could be the best when they come out to do commentary team ever. Michael Cole's like, you cheated to get those belts. And they went, yeah? Well, you cheated at Backlash. You were Pat McAfee. It's so true. They're so good. Once again, they are the kayfabe masters. They totally get it. But the Creeds, again, I'm talking about from a nerd point of view, did not deserve to be in a number one contender match, which wasn't even a number one contender match. Maybe Michael Cole misspoke. People's like, well, maybe it is. I don't know. And the War Raiders get screwed because Kofi Kingston pushes them off the rope. 1, 2, 3. Creeds look good here. Creeds are an excellent team. But it's all for naught anyway, because we go backstage, Anna Pierce goes, yeah, you're right. Triple threat match. Now, again, that match on paper will be awesome. But when you have three teams like this, especially when two of them are the New Day, Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods, who give a microphone they could talk for days, just think we need more story, we need more promos, we need more fun, I guess, but also we need more teams. I don't know who these teams are. I can't call up Hank and Tank, well, you probably could do. I don't know why Fraction went to SmackDown. I mean, it's because there's more teams there that clearly Triple H wanted them to work, and we've seen how successful that was. But we need to bolster this division. We need to give them more opportunities. It's just kind of falling into a copy and paste job, and that's why you're lucky you have the New Day, because they're hilarious. They make it entertaining, and I think we are in a good position since they are the champions. They can cheat and be awful people given what they did back in December, but I just think they can do more. I think I can see sort of, I'll use that word again, the potential. So when it's not reached and it feels like we're putting it in other areas and not here, I become a sad bald man. Which is a stupid thing to say, but it is how I feel. Always had that awesome Rusev promo where, I think I got it wrong on ups and downs. I was just so excited to talk about it. It was like, I just want to be your friend, but you don't get it, so I'm going to crush you. And I'd rather it be my hand, be by my hand, rather than you fall into the abyss. Now, I kind of think that maybe we're heading towards Rusev versus Sheamus, because Tozawa, I love Tozawa, he's my favourite not used enough character. He was like, I want to fight him, he took out my friend, he took out me. He's not cleared. So Sheamus walks in, he's going to take on Grayson Waller. That will probably trigger Grayson Waller Austin Theory breaking up, which now makes no sense because we need more teams. Whatever. It's been going on since 1942. I don't want to extend it anymore. Sheamus should bang him, which is a terrible thing to say, but I mean it in terms of a banger match. And then we should get to Sheamus versus Rusev for SummerSlam. I can't believe that we have a Rusev promo leading right into a backstage skip with Sheamus and not wanting to do that match. Now, they'll kick each other's ass. It probably will steal the show, especially over 2 nights at SummerSlam. But they're buddies, man. They both like football, soccer, from my American friends. That could be so damn good. I need that in my life. Again, who knows what tomorrow's going to bring. Let's not stand on ceremony, Mr. Wayne. Let's get it done. Because they are buddies. They won't care who wins and loses. So you can probably get away with something there. And we had the Finn Balor AJ Styles match. I just loved it. I'm going to say the worst thing ever, but because I do wrestle in my real life, there were so many things they were doing. I was It's like, oh my gosh, the levels you are getting to here. But the problem here, of course, is everybody expected distractions and everybody expected interference, which is exactly what we did get. I can't remember the order. The story is that Dominic Mysterio wasn't there. He doesn't really trust Finn Balor anymore. But Carlito tries to get involved, and Penta turns up, gives a really cool Canadian/Mexican destroyer to Carlito after essentially jumping off JD McDonough's back. And that kind of opens the door for AJ Styles to hit the phenomenal forearm. Finn Balor loses 1, 2, 3, because Finn Balor always loses. He is the 2025 version of the 2019 Sami Zayn. I think it was 2019, when he was never able to win. I think he went a whole year without getting a victory. But this is okay because it is leading somewhere. And AJ Styles has mentioned he eventually wants to go after the Intercontinental title once he kind of gets through all this, I suppose. I don't know. But if Dominic Mysterio is going to go babyface, you know what? Sometimes it doesn't even matter because he's a tweener, if nothing else. And AJ Styles is AJ Styles. Doesn't matter what he does now. He's a legend forever, right? He's clearly going to be great until the day he decides to give it up. So I do enjoy everything we're doing here. I like the pace that we're going at, but it's just the amount of distractions and interference. Like, it is every single match to the point now. Again, it stood like a sore thumb in the Gable Penta stuff because it essentially just finished. And at the pay-per-view, as we talked about on my review, make sure you check that out. There were 5 matches, and apart from Becky and Lyra, distraction. Somebody messaged me going, well, there wasn't a run-in in the main event. R-Truth ran in. As did all of Nick Aldis's Goober friends and about 72,989 referees. Like, that's what I'm talking about. And I love the nonsense. If you told me that you were going to start a wrestling company and not have any of that nonsense, I likely wouldn't watch. But you have to balance it too. You can't go too far the other way. Otherwise, it becomes the norm, and that takes away the fun. I don't think I've missed anything, but again, this is just meant to be a light-hearted chat when it comes to wrestling. But I like Raw. Raw's a very easy to watch show. The 2.5 hour mark is way easier. It's my biggest problem with SmackDown. It's elongated and needs to be cut down, which I think is happening in a couple of weeks. But I am excited about this Saturday night's main event. It will be one of the craziest cards in ages. I know that John Cena versus R-Truth isn't confirmed. I expect it to be confirmed on Friday. So you got that match, never saw coming. Jey Uso versus Logan Paul. If you told someone that 5 years ago, they looked at you like, what, Jey Uso is the champion, the tag team, and he's taken on a YouTuber? I mean, I would have gone nuts. And yes, CM Punk and Sami Zayn taking on Bron Breakker and Seth Rollins. Another match you just never would have fabricated in your own brain had you not know where they were going to go. So it probably on paper and maybe in execution should be one of the best Saturday night main events that we have seen for a while. But this Raw kind of just, nudged things on a little bit, told you where they were going, told you where they aren't going, and threw in some surprises there too. I enjoyed it, and Gunther is wonderful. I suppose another negative is Pat McAfee could have worn a bandage, or maybe like a pirate eye patch, or something just to let you know that he did get whooped by Gunther. But does it really matter? No, I don't think so. But it does go back to that kayfabe kind of argument. And again, I'm going to do a whole video about that. So if you do want to send me your own examples of what you believe that to be, maybe we can use those too. I'll leave it there. I appreciate you. Again, when you are down in those comments, let me know what you thought of Raw and who you think the third man is going to be. Like the video, share the video. Please do subscribe. All the buttons are down there. Notification bell. My Backlash review. Actually, no. My R-Truth versus John Cena, the best match ever video is there right now. Please do go to grillandmind.com/Simon. You just go to Simon to get 10% off and more often. They're always doing sales. My Grill and Mind mode package came today. Best time of the month. These supplements help me in the gym. And I wouldn't say this if I didn't truly mean it. They absolutely help you too. Supplements are only good for 1-2% of benefit, but when you're doing all the time, that can be a big benefit. Simon Miller on cameos. They are super cheap right now. I've got loads coming in, which makes me happy because I enjoy doing them. Simon J. Miller on TikTok for clips and nonsense and pro wrestling tees and Big Cartel for me and my name. Again, it's all down there for my merchandise. It is boiling in the UK, so I'll end it there. I appreciate you, my friends. Continue to enjoy wrestling because it is the most important of the non-important things, and I will see you tomorrow.